Not everything in Dreamweaver is handled visually, and for those of you that need greater scripting support, you're going to absolutely love what we're going to discuss in this video. For CS4, Dreamweaver has added enhanced code hinting support for JavaScript, DOM scripting, and the Spry framework. This code hinting is available whether you're in a JavaScript document or in a script block within your HTML. The new code hinting support is very robust, available to you on both primitive JavaScript data types and on any user-defined functions, parameters, classes, class properties and methods, and variables that you might be working with. As you are working, Dreamweaver introspects both your code and any external JavaScript files referenced in your document. That gives you real-time code hinting support for any external JavaScript libraries that you might be working with, such as YUI, jQuery, and Prototype. The code hinting is dynamic, so changes made to external libraries will be reflected as you code. Now, for our example, we'll initialize a YUI calendar widget and then bind it with a Spry dataset found on our page. So here we have a working Spry master detail HTML dataset, and we want to bind a YUI calendar widget to it. Now, we're going to initialize one of these through code, but if you want to use one of these on your own, they are available for download from Adobe's site. Simply go up to the Applications toolbar, click on the Browse for Web Widgets, and you'll go out and find the YUI calendar widget. All right, so I'm going to switch over to Code View, and I want to scroll down and find where I'm initializing my Yahoo Calendar widget. So it's almost finished here. We were initializing it, and we've got a few things going on. The last thing that we need to do is call the render function so that the calendar is drawn when our Show Calendar button is selected. And that's where code hinting is really going to come in handy. So I'm going to start coding. I'm just going to type in Yahoo dot. Now, as soon as I do that, you'll see code hinting starts coming up. This is all coming from our Yahoo library. Take a look on the right-hand side. You can actually see the documents where it's pulling these methods and properties and objects from. So I'm going to type in Yahoo dot, and then we'll say example. Now, as soon as I type in EX, it jumps right down to example. I can just hit enter, and it'll finish typing it for me. So it helps me speed up my coding. We'll do the same thing with calendar. And now here's something that's pretty interesting. If I type in dot again, notice that one of the objects that comes up is cal1. Now, cal1 is something that I just got finished initializing, right about 3 lines above that. So here we're seeing our dynamic introspection of the code. I initialized this variable 3 lines earlier, and here it is available to me as an object of our calendars. If I had multiple calendars, I would be able to choose from multiple calendar names. So let's finish typing that, and then we'll type in dot and then render. So it knows that this is a calendar, and it knows that the render method is available to it. So let's finish that. Why don't we save this, and we'll preview it in our browser. And as soon as I click on calendar view, there's our calendar. Well, our calendar's appearing on the page now, but right now it's not bound to any of our Spry data. So we're going to need to go back into our code and finish up with our binding. Now, in order to make sure that your code hinting is working properly, our JavaScript has to be well formed. If there's an error, it can disable code hinting and really slow you down. To help you detect and correct these errors, Adobe has also added syntax error indicators that will display any detected errors by showing an information bar and highlighting the affected line. So let's go back up in our code to where we're initializing our HTML dataset. And I've got some code here that's going to help us bind the data. So I'm going to highlight this, and we'll uncomment this out. And as soon as I uncomment it out, Dreamweaver goes ahead and detects a problem, and it lets me know about this. So here we have an information bar up top that tells us there's a syntax error on line 35. Notice also that it's telling us that code hinting might not work until the error gets fixed. And line 35 highlights to let us know exactly where it's detected the error. Well, what's going on is I have 2 closing braces, and I certainly don't need that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of those. And you can see that the error highlighting goes away. Perfect. All right, so what we're doing here is we're taking advantage of the calendar widget's render stack. So we're adding another render to this, and we want to tie that to the selected row within our HTML dataset. Now I'm going to do that by a line above our render stack. I'm going to create a variable called dates, and in dates I need to store the information from our Spry dataset. Now, enhanced coding has been added for the Spry framework as well. So what I'm going to do here, as soon as I type in cal4, which is our HTML dataset, and hit dot, I get all these methods available to me for our datasets. And if I type in get, I can go down right down to the row and say get current row. And what that's going to do for us is it's going to return the value of any selected current row. And I'm registering this to an observer, so it will continue. And every single time our row data has changed, it'll go ahead and update our calendar widget. So let's go ahead and save our file, preview this in our browser. And now I'm going to bring up my calendar, and notice that every time I click on one of these items, our render stack goes ahead and renders those dates for us. So there you have it, our finished YUI calendar bound to our Spry HTML dataset. Whether you're using Spry or other external JavaScript libraries, or even your own custom JavaScript, Dreamweaver's enhanced code hinting support is going to help you code faster and with fewer errors.